when a new case ends up opening old wounds for both Oliver Queen and Roy Harper. Will their partnership survive, or are they both headed to an overdose? Well, let's hop into the pages of Green Arrow issue number 25, the kickoff to a brand new story arc courtesy of Chris Condon. So then, as we join the issue, it looks like it's time for another big fancy comic book gala ball that always seems to be happening. Seriously, comic books gave me a very unrealistic expectation about just how many gala balls I would have to deal with as an adult. It would seem that tonight's party is to celebrate the brand new acquisition of some very valuable antiques, which have all been donated by the ultra-wealthy Albert Noyce, which with a name like that, I have to think it has to be an anagram for something. Noyce's big speech ends up getting interrupted by Green Arrow and Arsenal, who crash through the skylight, having themselves a big old battle with classic Green Arrow foe Count Vertigo. The good guys wrap up Vertigo pretty damn quickly to an adoring crowd. All in all, it seems like a good night's work, but things end up taking a rather unexpected turn when Ollie realizes just who he's in the presence of right now. We knew that Albert Noyce was rich, but it seems that he made that money as a big-time pharma bro. Particularly the pill-pushing kind of pharma bro that got North America embroiled in the opioid epidemic. Noyce naturally claims to be innocent, saying that he didn't put a gun to any of those people's heads and made them abuse prescription drugs. He just made them very powerful and very plentiful. Interestingly enough, in this situation, it's actually Roy who gets Green Arrow to calm down and leave before he ends up making a bigger scene. I say that's interesting when we stop and consider that Roy himself is a well-known recovering heroin addict, and if you know anything about the opioid crisis, you'll know that once those people couldn't get the prescription pills anymore, many of them turned to heroin. Mainly because it was cheaper, more powerful, and readily available. Meaning that guys like Noyce are actually responsible for 2 drug epidemics. Still though, as Roy puts it, he actually heard good things about this guy. Apparently he had a very successful stint in Japan, and has plans to try and make prescription drugs more affordable here stateside. Of course, Ollie has his suspicion because, you know, the dude's vibes were straight up and down villainous. Now, another interesting thing in this issue too is we actually get to see Ollie and Roy in between changing their costumes. It seems that under their suits they have these real interesting, almost tech mesh shirts. I guess they're supposed to be some sort of state-of-the-art body armor. I've never seen anything like that before. Kinda cool. Before Roy heads off for the night, he admits to Ollie that he had a really great time. He hasn't been doing a lot of superhero work recently, mostly just sitting around until he's needed, but tonight wasn't just fun, it actually reminded him of the good old days, Green Arrow and Speedy against the world before, you know, he got hooked on drugs and ruined the whole thing. Roy admits that he's not the sort of guy who enjoys reminiscing, that looking back usually carries too much pain and suffering. But Ollie assures him that he's come such a long way, that he's a loving father now, a respected hero and titan, but also his friend, his partner, and so much more. It's honestly a really great scene, especially when we stop and consider that when this new Condon series started, it looked like the Green Arrow book wasn't going to be a family book anymore, so it's nice that Roy is getting such a fun spotlight here. Now, on his way home, Arsenal has to pass through the bad part of town. A homeless man tripping on drugs accosts him, and in doing so inadvertently ends up forcing our young hero to have what is essentially a flashback to his time strung out and using. Roy stumbles through the streets only to be taken out by another man who seems to be running from an unknown assailant. Roy checks this guy's wounds and sees that he's actively been shot with an arrow. But not just any arrow, this arrow has a hypodermic needle at the end. Who could possibly be so sick as to do something like this? Well, actually, that's something of an interesting answer. The perpetrator turns out to be none other than Crimson Arrow. Don't know who this character was? Well, he's basically a weirdo one-off villain from the 50s. That guy's name was Herbert Vaney, and he was a gang boss who tricked Green Arrow into teaching him archery. This guy, though, seems to be someone new inhabiting the identity. Mainly, he talks about cleaning the street trash, starting with Arsenal. He hits him with an arrow, and we discover that these things are filled with a brand new designer drug called red sand, which also just so happens to be a fictional drug in the Mass Effect universe, too. I wonder if Condon knew that or not. Either way, as the comic comes to a close, poor Roy Harper ends up going into an overdose. And so that was Green Arrow issue number 25, everybody, and after championing Condon's first arc, you can understand that I was really excited to see what he would do for an encore, and man, this newest issue really grabbed my attention and kept it the whole way through. Of course, I'm a big fan of the original My Ward is as a junkie era of Green Arrow stories. So to see this new series have a real frank discussion about drugs, drug use, and specifically use the backdrop of the opioid crisis to tell a brand new story, you just know I'm in for this ride. It's also really nice too to see a Green Arrow writer remix and remaster an older, weirder Green Arrow foe. It feels like we've been seeing Merlin and Count Vertigo so many times over now. It's nice that we're getting something new. My biggest complaint about the first arc in this new series is that, the pacing felt a little glacier at times, and I was glad that I got to read the whole thing in 3-issue chunks. That being said, the slower burn, more deliberate attempt at storytelling really doesn't bug me here as much as it does over in Condon's other big book right now, Ultimate Wolverine. For what it's worth, I think this series has way more character work and way more actual stuff to chew on in between the long stretches, but hey, that's just me. Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 8 out of 10. If you're a big Roy Harper fan like me, I think you'll be really excited to see where this one goes.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Jewel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Jewel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.